NBL Now coming at you on this Wednesday, the 12th of March. Wednesday is game day in this championship series. Game 2 tonight at John Cain Arena. Melbourne United and the Illawarra Hawks. United are 1 up in the series. So it's a very, very big contest that's coming your way tonight. Joel Peterson with you on this Wednesday alongside Brad Rosen. It's always good to have Brad in the building. Hello, Brad.
Hello, mate. Sweaty palms, no nails. I can't wait for tonight.
I thought you were going to launch into some M&M then. I thought we were going knees weak, arms are heavy. That would have been very...
Oh, so pumped for game 2. In fact, I was so pumped at about probably 9:59 on Saturday night for game 2 after game 1 finished.
Yeah, I think you weren't alone there, especially the way that played out. We'll dive into all of that very shortly. We just come off a really big day for the NBL, though, a significant day on Tuesday with the New Orleans Pelicans set to come down in October to play Southeast Melbourne and Melbourne United. There was about 37,000 people at the announcement of that. I did notice Leonard Copeland and Andrew Gaze just in the background there, two men that generally don't sort of blend into a crowd, the big men. So they were just conspicuous out in the background there. And then, of course, the NBL's joining forces with the Big 3 3x3 competition as well. So 3x3 basketball, we know, is growing. That's coming down under in November too. So as this league continues to grow, Brad, it's another really momentous day for the competition in basketball in our country.
It is unbelievable. And to take words out of the great man himself, this ain't no cupcake league, right? And I love what Corey has done for this league, and I know it's been so helpful. And the fact now he would be looking down at this and going, I told you. And he should be so proud, as should everyone in the NBL. We now have 2 absolutely outstanding competitions with the NBA and Big 3. We're not going over there and playing. They're coming here. And that speaks absolute volumes of what our NBL is at, where they want to come down. The Victorian government's involved, the NBA is involved, the Big 3, all of these things. I'm not shocked. That's the simple words. I'm not shocked because this league, nothing shocks me anymore. It's just, grown so much in the last, 10 years, I guess is the right words, but, exponentially in what's happened over the last few years. And to see everything that's going on, we're right in the middle of a grand final series. Why not? The day before a game 2, grand final game 2, or should I say championship series game 2, let's go out and let's tell everyone that the NBA team's coming down. I'm so excited. I'm getting online. I'm getting tickets.
And then, of course, the next day you launch into a game 2, which is very, very exciting. So that basketball momentum continues. My only request with Big 3 coming down is if, we can organise some kind of NBL team that Damon Lowery, our Kangaroos coach, is the man in charge.
Mate, in charge, he might play, the way he's feeling at the moment. This guy does 700,000 kilometers a week of running. So 3-on-3 would be easy for him. That's just probably a Gatorade shake away or something for him. It would just be so easy. So he will definitely be putting his hand up for that.
If he's playing, for God's sake, don't sub him out. Game 2 is tonight.
He can make free throws.
Yeah, it's very true. Game 2 tonight, 7 o'clock our coverage starts, thanks to basketball.com.au. The venerable trio of Hooley, Copeland and Von Hoff leading the line for our coverage once again before we bring you the full call from John Cain Arena as part of the coverage. You were there for game 1. You were in the building. Have you had any epiphanies, any great moments of revelation in the sort of the intervening days since then as you line up for game 2?
It's interesting. I feel like I'm coaching one of these teams. My changes have happened and I'm going through it and I can't sleep at night and I'm thinking, what changes would I make if I was in this position? And I love that side of the basketball. And I thought the way Dean Vickerman coached that game, 10 down, halftime, goes into halftime, makes some changes up. And that Marcus Lee change up of putting him against Dave O'Hickey was outstanding. And I thought just something different. And that's one of the hardest things, and I think something that we as in coaches have gone away from, and I'm talking in all aspects of coaching. In-game coaching is the most crucial part, and it got shown so much on the weekend with Dean Vickerman looking at what's going on. I'm sure his assistants had part of that and go, right, let's try this. And I loved it, and I thought it was brilliant. Then they were able to claw their way back. I thought the first few minutes was great. couple of turnovers, and then Illawarra did not have an answer. And I thought they didn't make the changes they need to during that game. Don't necessarily agree with not making changes because this is a 5-game series and you don't have time to deal with it in round 18 or 19 or 20. This is a championship series that you need to be able to deal with it. So I thought Dean Vickerman completely out-coached right now Tatum, but I love the fact that Tatum is an outstanding coach and he'll come back big and hard for game 2.
And he's a great man manager. So you've been an assistant coach on a championship team. Take us into Justin Tatum's locker room. How do you think he would have reviewed that performance and maybe even reviewed his own performance?
Look, you always review your performance as it is, and I'm sure he would be the first one to say, okay, I could have done things different. Isn't hindsight a beautiful thing? But I think what the main thing I get out of that is hold the phone. It's not the end of the world. It's a 5-game series. Yes, they lost game 1 at home. This is not, let's not make this bigger than Ben-Hur. It's not necessary. Trey Kell, yeah, he didn't play well. Tyler Harvey, yeah, he didn't play well. Some others, they played okay. Should have Sam Froling played more? Maybe in hindsight, you look at that. To me, I'll dictate that tonight after the game. Because one of the number one things in the championship series and the regular season champions were the Illawarra Hawks. The fact that they lost game 1, their first grand final for a lot of these guys. Melbourne, been there last year, know what's going on. I'm saying that is such a huge learning curve. And I expect Illawarra to come out tonight with an absolute cricket bat against Melbourne United and whack them hard. But Melbourne will be ready. And that's going to be the beautiful challenge. Do I expect Melbourne to be ready? Absolutely. Do I expect it to be a great game? Without a doubt. And Illawarra, this is a must-win game for this team. They have to get this 1-1 going back to Illawarra on Sunday.
It is really significant. They led for 28 minutes in that first game. The Illawarra Hawks out of the 40. Melbourne led for just around 9. So, they made their run at the right time. When do you want to lead? You want to lead at the end. That's pretty clear. But
amen to that.
They execute so well. Derek and Damon had a great discussion on yesterday's edition, which I implore you to go and listen to get you primed if you haven't already for game 2, where they talked about how you get the best out of Trey Kell, whether he is the character to whom you give a hug or you give a kick up the backside. Where would you be going to try and sort of put the spark into his performance again?
Well, first off, let me say to Derek and Damon, I was in stitches. If anyone hasn't watched that, you've got to watch that thing. The only thing missing was popcorn and Benny Hill music. These guys were outstanding the other night. They were fantastic. Jack Heverin just sort of put his silences in there and, just spoke the wheel a little bit, and I loved it. I'm, as much as this pains to see me, and yes, Derek will text me later on, I'm sure, I agree with Derek. You don't go and put a sleeper hold, as Damon Lowery said, on Trey Kell. He's a professional. You can't do that now. This is a guy that you put your arm around. And to be honest, I wouldn't say much. What can you tell a guy like that has been through this? He came out after game 2 in Southeast Melbourne, Phoenix, and he destroyed them in game 3. What did he say after the game? I'm surprised I wasn't sent home. I was terrible. I don't like the way I played. At halftime, he had an interview with Joe Healy, and some people thought he was a bit short. No, he was locked in for 40 minutes of basketball. And he was like, I'm not stopping this until we get a win. That's the Trey Kell I'm expecting to see tonight in this game that I didn't see on Saturday night. So to me, I'm not overbraining this. And if I'm Tatum, and I'm sure this is Beto, he's like, he made him his number 1 target in the offseason. He'll be fine. He'll be no problems. Let's go out and play. I'm not changing starting 5s. I'm not playing more minutes here and there. I'm doing the same thing because these guys are better. Tyler Harvey, single-digit points. The last time he did that, 19 games ago, JP. Let's not break the well here. They've been outstanding. Would I praise Sam Froling a bit more? Yeah, maybe. That could work. But it's also easy in hindsight. I don't rock the boat. I don't think it's major issues, and I'm expecting Illawarra to come with a cricket back tonight.
Yeah, so 12, minus 12 in free throw attempts, I think minus 13 in the rebounding battle. So a couple of key areas which you expect.
Rebounding was a key, JP.
Yeah.
That was a massive, massive rebounding situation. But when you're giving up, so many shots and loose rebounds, that's going to happen. It's one of those games. Trey Kell, Tyler Harvey, they're not playing the same zip and everything they're doing. No, that wasn't the Illawarra Hawks that won the minor championship.
You got to see Tyler Harvey getting to the line. We know what he can do from outside.
Yeah.
He didn't have a free throw attempt in game one, and they need that because he can be so dangerous there, and he's so efficient from the stripe as well. Melbourne and their sort of any RFIs out of that game, of course, in every championship series, in every series like this, when you go down 1-0, the focus sort of switches to the losers because they've got the ground to make up. So for the winners, is there anything they can tighten up?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of things they would want to do. I mean, you've got to remember they were down by 10 at halftime. And how did that happen? And that was different things and different breakdowns that they were able to do. So I'm sure they'll look at that. The one thing that I am worried if I'm Illawarra is there's teams that bounce back after wins and they can be a little bit off. Not this Melbourne United team. This team is coming off a grand final loss last year. They won game 4 in Tasmania last year and went home and lost it. Right, they will be so focused to come out tonight. They will know how big this game is. 2-0, that's not winning the chip, but damn, it's going to be close, JP. So for Illawarra, that's nerve-wracking because I can tell you, Melbourne's just putting that win in their back pocket and let's go get the next one. Dellavedova is just a freak of nature the way he plays. The bigger the game, the bigger he plays. Now, he got 18 points and he might have taken a few shots, but he will take every shot that is given to him because he thinks he's going to make it. And that's something as a coach you want. CG43, great. Ian Clark, some of those threes, outstanding. I thought Rob Lowe came on and was physical, and Marcus Lee, what a time to bring your best game of the NBL. So to Illawarra, be scared because Melbourne will come. You're going to have to play the greatest 40 minutes of your season to get a win on the road in front of a packed stadium. Wow, JP, this is going to be unbelievable.
You got me ready to run through the wall. The experience factor here. I wasn't going to go through this podcast without mentioning the mighty Bendigo Spirit, who've just won a WNBL title.
I watched that game. Congratulations to them.
And they had champions everywhere, the likes of Kelsey Griffin, Mariana Tolo, Kelly Wilson. They had champions coming out their ear holes. Sammy Whitcomb, the grand final MVP, wins the Rachel Spawn Trophy. But the experience factor really told for them. You've got Ian Clark, NBA champion. Jack White, NBA champion. Matthew Dellavedova, NBA champion. Marcus Lee, coming off a championship last year. Chris Golding in the mix. They've got championship coaches. They've got championship assistant coaches. They've probably got championship mascots. How that experience factor when it comes to coming up against a team who doesn't have none of it but has less of it, how significant is that?
Massive, because it's significant off the court. On the court, it's all about getting ready and everything and going and playing what the coaches give you instructions to do. But it's off the court, how you prepare. And one of the things I remember when we won the championship with the Sydney Kings, and it was always about don't play your game before the game. Relax, do what you normally do. Don't go out and, start dunking the ball between the legs in warm-ups. Get out there, put the ball in the hole, see it go through the hoop. Relax, get into your normal game routine. It's nothing different. It's just another game. The challenge for Illawarra is they need to make sure that they play their regular season team. Just the way they played, pace, up and down, run, get going. Hung Jung Lee hitting threes, Blanchfield, Dave O'Hickey downhill, giving the ball to Trey Kell, moving it for Tyler Harvey. But for Melbourne, the other side of it, all that stuff that you've mentioned is great, but they had that last year as well. And that's something Illawarra have got to take to say they're human. I can beat this. They're not robots and we can go. But for Melbourne, they're in a very, very good position right now. And those players you mentioned, I mean, there's so much fun to watch. And they really, really, I was right at Melbourne's bench on Saturday night. And I could see they were locked in from the second they walked in that gym. And even though when they were down at 10 every time out, it would be a Chris Golding talking to the team, or Ian Clark would say something, or the assistant coaches would come in. And they are such a well-oiled machine that it's going to be very hard to beat them.
The Marcus Lee part of it's interesting because we talk about their starters. We talk, the stars in the team, and he generally doesn't crack a mention, but he was the best big in the game. He was the best player in the game in game one. foul trouble's been a problem for him in his NBL tenure, both at Melbourne and then Tasmania. But if he can stay on the floor, do you think there's the potential that he could be the best big in the series for Melbourne?
Yeah, look, the interesting one for me is, and I was listening to Damon talk about that, Sam Froling played 25 minutes the other night, and I thought he played really well with his 16 points, right? And he took 15 shots to get that. Now, normally, when Sam Froling scores, it takes 15 shots, that's going to be close to a 30-piece game, right? Because he shoots at a high percentage. So some just didn't drop. I would feel that if Sam's in there and can get his, footwork and moving and get his shots going, I think that will restrict the fact that Marcus Lee is there. Remembering he was guarding Davo, which was a great move again, and I'll say that. But I think I do agree with Damon that I'd probably play Sam Froling a little bit, but I also understand why they didn't. So to me, to defer the fact of how well Marcus Lee's playing, I think I want Sam Froling on him. Guard me in the block. That's what I want you to do, not just jumping off Davo and see how it works.
It's going to be a fascinating chess match between these two coaches, the established master in Dean Vickerman and then Justin Tatum, who's done absolute wonders with this team since he's come in. And these two teams that play contrasting styles but can absolutely get it done in a high-pressure moment. So Game 2, 7:30 tip-off tonight, of course. Coverage from 7 o'clock thanks to basketball.com.au. Brad Rosen, who wins and why?
I said at the beginning of the series that I think this will go 5, and I do not see any team losing 2 in a row. And I said that because I think they're so well coached, both teams, and I think both teams are so well established and got great players. So based on the fact that Melbourne won, I'm saying Illawarra win Game 2 because I think the changes they'll make. Obviously, by that theory, it means Melbourne win on the road in Illawarra in Game 5. I don't know if I'll change my mind then, but what I am saying is I just think the way these two teams have been the best by far, and that's no disrespect to Perth and Southeast Melbourne. I just think these two teams have been brilliant all year, and nothing but a 1-1 after tomorrow night would shock me at all.
Yeah, that'd be very nice, and I think Game 5, we deserve Game 5.
Oh yeah,
NBL season, that is absolutely for sure. Brad, love your passion, your enthusiasm. You've got me ready to run out there, and
we don't have to get off to you, JP. I've got about 9-10 hours until tip off, mate. Let's just stay on here and talk because I've got nothing else to do.
We'll just keep rolling. Out. Don't worry about that, Brad. Always great to talk hoops with you. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks, JP. Enjoy the game, everyone.
Brad Rosen with you on NBL Now. Thanks for your company. Jump on the NBL socials, go behind the scenes like never before, whether it's X, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can grab all the platforms and, of course, all the news at nbl.com.au in the aftermath.